conversation, Democratic Congresswoman Linda Sánchez of California. Congresswoman, I don't know if you know this or not. I'm sure you've had a busy week, but I have quoted you every single day from the conversation we had last Wednesday when you told me that you were so aware of the potential for violence that you told your husband on Tuesday night where he could find your will. What have you learned in the last week about how it came to this?
Yeah, well, obviously there is a huge lack of planning on the part of those in charge of security. This was planned out in the open. There were social media posts encouraging people to come and to come armed, and the fact that we were not prepared for that is really inexcusable. We've been dealing with the aftermath and trying to do our job at the same time that we're trying to recover from, quite frankly, a very big trauma to members who experienced that and lived through that. And so we are trying to pick up the pieces and carry on with our work. And you know, job number one is to try to remove this dangerous president from office, somebody who has the nuclear codes, somebody who can pardon insurrectionists that he incited and encouraged. So we need to remove this president from office, and today I voted to do exactly that.
And you were joined by 10 Republicans, and anyone who doesn't understand what a big deal that is hasn't been following what is really the radicalization of the modern Republican Party. Were there any of these 10 that surprised you?
They were all surprises to me, to be honest with you. It takes a lot of backbone and intestinal fortitude to stand up and to denounce the lies and to clear the record and say this man is a danger to this country. He is no patriot. And these people who do his bidding, they are not patriots. They are trying to tear down our democracy. They are domestic terrorists, and they will use any means to try to subvert the will of the people, to impose who they think should be president, not who won fairly and squarely the last presidential election.
So, I mean, that's exactly what they're for. They were sent there by Donald Trump. Are you surprised that as many Republicans as stood up and defended him had the audacity to do that when he's against the very system of government that they're in?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to hear these people object to the certification of the presidential election. These people were elected in the same election. So
right.
If the president was corrupt, then maybe they shouldn't be here either.
Right.
It's completely illogical, but logic, reason, facts, history, doesn't matter to these people. They believe what they want to believe, and it's dispiriting to come to Congress to do the work of clinging to our democracy and making sure it still functions, and have members who flaunt the rules of not wearing masks and getting around metal detectors. I mean, they're all for law and order, except for when they don't like the rules or the laws, and then suddenly they don't have to comply with them. That's terrible. A police officer lost his life defending them, and they have the gall to stand and say that, you know, they're for the police and they support the police. That mob did not support the police. That mob did not distinguish between Democrats and Republicans, and it is folly for them to think that they can control this monster that they have created.
The mob killed the police. I want to ask you what is going on there. What is their objection to metal detectors and more security on the House floor?
They think they are above the law, plain and simple.
But what do they want to do?
It's above the law. They want to carry guns onto the House floor, which is strictly prohibited. And they walk around the metal detector. They yell and scream at the Capitol Police. These are the people that almost died defending them. Some of them did die defending them. And they treat them in the worst way possible. They don't respect police officers. They have this, you know, entitlement, this sense that they can do whatever they want, that the rules don't apply to them. It's sickening and it's scary, and the American people need to know these representatives. They need to know their names, because history will not treat them well.
Congressman Maloney told me that the account by one of your colleagues that a member gave a tour to someone who showed up the next day for the insurrection was true. He confirmed that account for me. He would not share the member's name, but are you familiar with this account? Do you know who that member is?
I don't know. I have heard the similar story, but I don't know who that particular member is. But every person who contributed in any way to that insurrection deserves to be held to account. And I am so sick of my Republican colleagues saying that impeachment doesn't unify our country. Well, neither does a violent attack on our Capitol. And we cannot move forward and heal until we have truth, and until we have a full accounting, and until responsibility is assigned and people accept responsibility for their actions. There must be accountability, or there cannot be healing.
You've been so generous with your time, but I have one more question for you. I wonder what the dynamic was between the Republicans who voted with the Democrats to impeach Donald Trump and their Republican colleagues, some of them who stood up and repeated some of Donald Trump's lies, and whether there was sort of, because it gets lost on television, but what did that feel like in the room to see 10 Republicans break with their caucus?
It shows that there are decent people who care more about our country than they do about their own political future or their own political ambitions. These are people who stood up for the democratic process, who love this country and are willing to put themselves at risk, quite frankly, their careers at risk, possibly even their lives at risk, to call things out honestly and to call this president to account. That is a very powerful thing, and I salute and respect those 10 so much, because around here, it's all too common to just hear the people who parrot the president's lies over and over again.
It sure is. Congresswoman Sánchez, we're glad that you were safe. I really appreciate your time a week ago. It added so much to our understanding of the terror that you were all enduring. And please come back early and often as this makes its way over to the Senate side. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, here's what we're going to do next. The good news, we're going to hear from Ari Melber, who's this normal